good morning. It is a beautiful Tuesday right here on Signature Television. This is the Signature Morning. How are you doing this morning? You know how we do it. We bring you the newspaper headlines, the newspaper review, and every other thing you need, to know about what's happening around you. My name is Belinda, and today is special. Charles told me earlier that today is, special. He started this day with on a very beautiful note, smiling and all of that. And I was, asking him what caused the unusual happiness, Charles.
Well, two things basically. Okay. One is the fact that there are some persons who thought that their political strongholds cannot be taken away from them as long as they live. And so I'm excited that at least they're beginning to see that they are humans. They can lose things.
Exactly.
And so other one is the fact that I'm alive. I'm kicking. I'm strong. I'm really, really, really excited about today.
Okay. So. Okay. All right. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll read you the newspaper headlines. Stay with us. Newspapers this morning. We'll be starting off from the trending news here. State of emergency stocks rivers as political thugs attack councils. That's on the page 6 of the Guardian newspapers.
Anti-graft war won't be won by technicalities, declares Tinubu.
NAFDAC champions food labeling standards as workers commence indefinite strike.
Worries over petrol price as Tinubu deregulates downstream sector.
80% of Africans unhappy with delivery of democratic rule, says Akinkere Ekon.
Police arrest Areboshola's loyalists for accusing Oyetola of using palliative rice as birthday gifts.
Reviving comatose technical education beyond enrollment drive.
All right. Court reduces bail of 5 NSAR's governance protesters to 5 million naira each. I'm sure they're going to bring it down further. They're going to bring it down maybe to 200,000 naira at some point, because again, it really makes no sense as far as I'm concerned.
All right, moving ahead to the Vanguard newspapers this morning, just above the mast, federal government and MPCL, Dangote plan changes in petrol lifting investigation.
Malnutrition, federal government, can, World Bank unites to save 11 million children.
Just like we saw from the Guardian newspapers have here that court reduces bill to 5 million naira for end bad governance protesters each.
Autonomy. Don't give workers salary to LG's Labour begs federal government.
Idoguba, PDP accuses INEC of doctoring BVAS cancelling rigging.
Tinubu committed to food security, says VP Shatima.
Okay, and CAF Confederation Cup, Eyimba gets tough Egyptian draw. I think that's all from that particular newspaper. So moving ahead to the Punch. Fubara camp opposes emergency rule as 3 killed. Secretariat raised with the rider. Tinubu warns against anarchy. PDP governors Clark back Fubara.
Below the mast, Naira for crude. Federal government proposes 6-month supply for Dangote refinery, with the rider refinery to get 24 million barrels in 2 months. Fresh concerns over NNPCL's sole petrol buyers role.
2027 Obi Kwankwaso alliance proposal will fail, says APC.
Federal government lists 7 states for Mpox vaccination.
Okay, Lagos begins trial of 2 doctors over patient's death.
Nigerians in Lebanon fault federal government's over evacuation claim.
Wando, two foreign firms shortlisted to buy Trinidad's national refinery.
We're moving over to the Blueprints newspaper. On the Blueprints this morning, Rivers boils 5 killed. Presidency orders police to restore order with the rider. Go to court over local government post. Tinubu urges aggrieved politicians. End your feud in national interest. Bode George begs Wike and Fubara.
Pay our salaries to Local Government Service Commission. NUG, NUT, NUP tell federal government.
Tinubu speaks. Technicalities. Intimidation of judges. Bane of anti-corruption war.
Boni approves a 1.4 billion naira for 25,500 Yobe flood victims.
Hajj 2023, 95,000 Nigerian pilgrims to receive 150 Rial refund each.
Access Bank gets approval to establish commercial bank in Namibia.
Gusso promises World Cup and AFCON tickets.
Okay. Right, let's move ahead to the Daily Independent newspapers this morning. Just above the marks, Ayoku calls for change in tactics of fighting corruption, with the rider recovered proceeds of corruption invested in social programs. That's from Tinubu.
Rivers local government poll. Tinubu warns angry parties against self-help with the rider. Ask aggrieved parties fomenting trouble to go to court. Task security operatives to bring situation under control. 3 killed, 3 local government secretariats set ablaze. Violence spreads. Fubara condemns burning of secretariats, fingers, weakest loyalists. Rivers CJ inaugurates election petition appeals tribunals.
All organs of APC except NWC are not functioning. That's from Lukman, with the rider says other parties held to ransom with syndicated leadership crisis. Lament NAS noun a parastatal of presidency.
ENUGU poll. Tribunal orders INEC to grant Igodalo PDP access to inspect materials.
Don't give our salary to local governments. Unions tell federal government, with rider demand funds be made first line charge on FAC.
Dangote refinery would propel Africa out of poverty. Ibn Chambers speaks.
NAFDAC workers begin indefinite strike.
All right. That's all on the Daily Independent newspaper this morning. Daily Trust follows after. Tinubu releases 1,200 fertilizer bags to each senator, 600 to reps.
Sharia Council defends Senator Buba against the politically motivated attacks.
Rivers crisis escalates with the rider. 4 local government secretariats burnt. Tinubu directs IGP to restore order. My meekness, not weakness, says Fubara.
Dangote refinery Nigerians may pay more for petrol as NNPC quits middleman role, with the rider Middle East tension to spark higher fuel cost.
Police probe starving to death of man by sex worker in Lagos.
Okay, council workers seek salary payment from first line charge.
Men can also have breast cancer. That's coming from the UITHCMD. He's warning. I've never seen that before.
We have actually had that program right here. We talked about breast cancer. We invited a doctor who explained that even men can actually have breast cancer.
Men can, but again, I haven't seen. Have you seen one?
But it's rare, according to what he said. It's rare. So, but you can actually, go watch out for that particular interview. Just go to our Facebook. We are on all social media platforms at Signature TV Officials and on YouTube at Signature TV. Just go there and watch it and then drop your comment. We'll be moving ahead to our reviewer right here this morning, Chris Maduka. Good morning.
Good morning. But not good morning, Charles.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning,
Charles
Chris.
was agitated when you talked about breast cancer.
Oh, well, yeah. I should be, as a man.
It's been aligned to women having breast cancer. So it's rare when you hear that men can actually have breast cancer.
No, I mean, it's different because,
in
again,
your generation of Gen Z, where we have so many things happening, LGBTQIYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Anything can happen, so take it as one of those things.
But I mean, if you say a man can have breast cancer, and I'm just wondering, can a man also feed a baby with breast milk?
It's
Well,
not about breast
let's-
milk. That's not the cancer. That's
it's
not where
none of our discussion here will make meaning until the experts.
yeah, you have to go watch
Belinda
watch
has
out that
referred you
interview. Yeah,
to the
go watch out that
expert,
interview.
interview we and Shaw held on Signature Television morning. Was it morning on New Day?
It was morning. It was
Okay.
actually morning.
Signature morning, and it's there.
Okay,
can always
I'll
consult
go
it.
and watch it. I'll go and watch it to
So
gain
do not
more
be
insights.
agitated as far as
I
there
can
are
see
so
you are
many things
scared.
that makes it come. As far as you're not involved in some of those things, like over fumbling of your.
That late? Why didn't the president, make comments even before that election, and so that to cushion whatever spillage that that particular build-up would have?
Oh well, like I say, the way you make your mat, you lie on it. But once you sweep the truth under the carpet, there is a man in my place. His name is Ajoku Tueb. When a bad talk stays for a long time, gather moist and grows muco, that Ajoku, that's bad thought, bad talk, bad deeds. They do not rotten, they only grow muco. So any day you want to bring it up, you only clean up the muco, and the bad talk and the bad thought and bad deeds which become as good as new. There is also a thought that a school of thought that believes that when a chicken do not eat, it will scatter. Ọkụkọ elighị eli, ọbọsa abọsa. That is Igbo philosophy. It's playing out. Whoever, and it's playing out in Nigerian political scenes everywhere. Once somebody loses election, how they lose or win is left for the umpire to decide. But that is a question of morality to answer. But since morals has been swept, I've given to the dogs in Nigeria, governance, electoral, every system in Nigeria, we put morals at the last. So nobody is talking about morals when it comes to elections in Nigeria. So it becomes this point. If at this point, like the disciples of Jesus said, sir, he said, sir, will you at this time restore the kingdom? If the IGP of police, after all this said and done, we now decide to restore peace in rivers, good. If they are still going to play the ostrich, follow human being, go kill the spirit, and then join the spirit to go for burial. Condolences. That is left for them. But what are we saying? Nigerians are watching.
Well, it's easy
We
to
might
tell.
be watching
It's easy
and
to
become
tell.
helpless and not having anything to do.
It's easy to tell where this is coming from. And I'm wondering why the president is not going straight to the matter, calling both of them, and asking them, to sheathe their sword. Or better still, call his minister for the FCT. Everybody knows the story.
Well,
So why can't you just speak to his
when you
FCT
invite
minister?
me to review newspaper headlines, they say rivers boil. And it's boiling because APC withdrew, faction of APC withdrew, PDP. But one thing is clear. One thing is clear. Remember, River State, it's River State for you. I'm not from River State. So as far as I know, because you want to win local government election, control party structure, control political structure, do whatever is in your mind that is personal interest. And you decide that the best thing is to get the whole of River State, put them in a pond, set them on fire, and you have River State in your pocket, and then you went home and dry, and go back to Abuja, and go to tell the president, I've done it. I've done it. And he will give you GCFON, GCFON, GCFIC. He'll give you the highest honor in the country. You return back to River State, and we have nobody to receive you. If that is what you want, go ahead. Good luck. Remember, whoever has eaten his or her brethren for dinner has gone to bed on empty stomach. And remember, if anybody is doing this to River State people, your own people, and you want to make friend a handshake across the political handshake across, they will keep you at, they've done it to several people. Go and kill your people. They will send you to go and kill your people. They will sit down and say, if this man can do this to his own people, don't bring him close. He's a poisonous snake. And they don't know. Let them go back in history and see those who had used their Onyebulu 1 year is not Odogu. Whoever killed his brethren is not an Odogu. It's not a strong man. He doesn't deserve anything good. Among people in Africa, they always believe that they give it a title. Ikemba. Go outside. Go do your exploits. Come back home. We will give you chieftain's title. But you are using your own people to show power. Let me ask you. Must everything begin and end with you? Who made you? Or before God created the River State, He used it, it's your brain that God used to create a River State. That's what you're telling people. Without you, there will be nothing like River State. And such people, I'm sorry, have never ended well. Well, we are looking from far. And all these buga. I was reading some WhatsApp postings of philosophical thoughts. He said, it will end in a box. All this will end in a box. There was this pastor that was being interviewed over Nigeria 64 years. He said that his family plays a Monopoly game. Monopoly game comes in a box. When you finish playing it, you pack it back and put it in a box. He said his father told him that all this thing about life will end in a box. And what is that box? That is if you are lucky to have it. Coffin. And if you are lucky to have, the box will be lower down 6 feet. The highest time people will remember that you ever existed, give them 1 month. You begin to become second part of the memory they hold. And that's how you think it will go like that, go until you recede into history. People will not remember you again. There are people who have ruled the world, even in positive light, that no more remembered. To talk about those who are causing palpitation and fear, when you talk about them, people are like, my father said, from the house of a coward is where you still have descendants, where people will look and say, Charles, that place that is empty bush, there used to be a strong man there. You can't pass his frontage of his house in the daytime or in the nighttime. He will chop you alive. From Uno Nyujo Kejalu Jelube Dikaka. Dike used to live there. So why not live within the means of being a coward? All this booger, Dike, everybody in a box.
Right.
In a minute, the whole thing will end. And all this amassing of power, amassing, God help Nigerians and God help all those who think that is the best way to live their life.
Some papers are reporting 3 killed. Some are saying 5 killed. And I thought that those deaths would have been avoided if the president had come in earlier to at least make a statement saying that they're watching scenarios. And I'm just even thinking through myself, the involvement of the police about this whole thing. From the time that it was announced that INEC should not release the voter register to RISEC, and RISEC responded that they already have it because they had it, previously. And up until when they now came and said they wanted to even, remove the materials that are supposed to be used for the elections, and then the withdrawal of police on Sunday, and on Monday, the announcement of the withdrawal of police from Monday, and then the attack. It does look like the police basically allowed these things to happen. And until the president spoke, we would have had more local government burnt. And these are some things that are quite avoidable, and it's just because of one man. And I'm wondering, is the president scared of Wike? Can't the president say something? And then there are some rumors about imposing emergency rule in Rivers. Do you see a possibility?
Well, if you start imposing emergency rule because some talks went to set 3 local government, what is the reason? When you have strong reason for emergency, is it that talks? Where is emergency rule in where Boko Haram has invaded the country and taken part of the state for how many years? They're taking taxes from farmers. There's no emergency rule. What happened in Edo? There's no emergency rule. What happened in other states that have just conducted their local government election and they took it all? You begin from there. Put emergency in Enugu. Put in Anambra. Put in Kwara, Sokoto. Put in Imo.
There was no chaos in those states.
Who said? Who said?
Nobody burnt any
Who said?
local government area.
Who said? There was chaos in Imo. And later he was here, you were saying they use IED for 2 policemen in Anambra. Was you not in this place? You were telling me it's a new development. What was the outcome? Anytime there's change of government, they do all these things. I don't know whether it's a spiritual sacrifice for these politicians. Because we thought River State will come and go without blood. So if they have gotten the blood sacrifice they want, if they can now go and rest. But if they want more, River State have money. If you see the beautiful local government, the area they are burning, some state houses in Nigeria are not near that. So they know what is making them burn it because with the 13%, I think their own has reached 50% derivation. In 2 days, they will build the local government back. So go ahead, destroy, burn all the local governments in River State. It's only the people that allow the state to be killed. For who?
I assume you're saying that sarcastically. But
Well,
I mean,
if it's people have decided to burn their state, you are stopping them. And they say the strong people are setting fire. People have said they will set fire, and the reason to set fire has come. And then they are setting fire, and then nobody is talking. It's only this morning that the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who saw this coming, is making statement. So what do you want me to say? Is it me that said they should set fire in the first place? When there's nothing, you cannot stop the fire. You help it.
Okay. All right, let's move ahead to another interesting one, 2027. Kwakwanso and Obi. Say Obi, Kwakwanso alliance proposal will fail. That's from APC. What do you take on that?
What do you want me to say before? It's obvious they are opposition. They are threatened. I hope that the Kwakwanso, Obi, and all that structure will make this prediction become a lie. There are this thing they say in my place. You don't want to fulfill, when somebody say you're a fool, you want to behave like a fool just to fulfill the book. Prove the person otherwise. If somebody has said this alliance will not work, let LP, let NNP, PP, and all the people involved make it work. And let's prove them wrong. So that they will know they are not God. They cannot predict. Is there political predictions? What makes them? Because they are setting confusion in LP, they have the moles they set up there to disorganize LP so that they will coast to home and dry. That's why they're coming out to make this statement. So it will be a shame if somebody wants to fulfill, somebody say you can't work, you allow it not to work, then they will go and book and say, we said it. Prove them wrong. That's all I can say on that. If I am the person involved in this, even if it did not take me to anywhere, I will still make the alliance work. to prove them wrong in the first place. Then we go to the polls. If what happened in 2023 happen again, the world will still put it on record. But instead of somebody sitting somewhere, after much kungu and goro, he makes some predictions, and I'll come here to begin to review that. I can as well say nothing happens in Nigeria and then it becomes a prediction. Nigeria will remain like that. It's not like once you look up the heaven, rain start falling. It's not. My father told me that. So the politicians are free to make predictions. So I don't even give impetus to that.
What was your take on the alliance of two of them?
The alliance, we said, if it comes in true spirit, strong... we said it and gave it a lot of strength yesterday. If it comes in true spirit, it will gather mass and attract so much. It will show that really Nigerians are now ready to work together and not be divided along political line, along tribal line, and the people, our common enemy, who are the satanic corrupt politicians, are gathering on that to still divide us further. It's a high time we sit up and then think together as a nation of goodwill people and then go to war to retrieve Nigeria from the hands of corrupt and satanic people who have put us in this quagmire. If Nigerians are comfortable where they are, let's play along. Mine is a minor opinion. But if what we are seeing, they're suffering what I'm suffering, we need to sit up and then think together as a people, what can we do? It's only death that doesn't have solution. Only death. But that is a problem like this political thing. People can walk across the tribal line, across the religious line, across state lines, across regional lines, form alliances that will become a mega force that will take back power and then dispose it. It's only when you get power you can dispose. Otherwise, all this one we are talking now, people, the man will hold yam and hold knife. Now in the cut and share. My people talk say, the person who owns shares. And that's why we are here. So whatever they give to you, you take. You can only murmur and rumor and talk. Talk is not what they gave you is small. But when the thing is put up for a fight, if I think I can't get you alone, the power of two, the power of three, the power of four can defeat.
Okay, we have here that NAFDAC workers are embarking on strike. And not just that, NUT, NUP, they are coming out to say to the federal government, do not give our salary to local government, do not pay through local government. Do you think that all of these things happening at the same time, this is the right time for it, to come, looking at what we are going through in Nigeria?
If anybody says that their salary should not be given to local government, they are bought agents, and they don't know who they are speaking for. The Constitution said the schools, some of these things are under local government. What they should be planning now is how their salary should be regular and they get it. And all the allowances are regular and they get it. What the people of Nigeria, that's why I'm telling you that Nigerians, because they do not even understand what the LG autonomy is, and they think by state government holding their salary and paying them, that is better. It's the same salary. Whoever marries my mother becomes my father. I don't care as far as he gives me food to eat, he gives me the salary. So this idea, they are just bringing confusion. Whether it's local government that has to pay your salary. Because the same money will still come there into local government. And then you've heard that some states in Nigeria are proposing that the local government people, when they get the money, they pay it to a joint account for disposition. Can you imagine such stupidity, selfishness? These are mind of not let go. Are they paying back into the state account of joint account that they don't know what to do with their money? That you are the most sensible person. Anybody in Nigeria can be a governor of any state. Why should you say local government people And then let me tell the local government people that what they do not know. They think that all the states, the incumbents have accommodated it so that it will become business as usual. If you have been given local government chairmanship, whether it by endorsement or by election, watch out, because now your head you go take career. EFCC, it's easier. They are coming. This autonomy they are talking about, I'm revealing a secret for them. They are going to account for every kobo. Don't think that when they are sitting as a local government chairman, you'll be whispering with your principal, who is the governor, because they put you there. You'll be chopping local government money and not account for it. Most of them will go to jail that will never come out of, and the governors will not go for you. They can prep you up to bring the money assigned to your local government and give it to them so that they will return the power or come back on second tenure. It's you, as the chief executive of your local government, that will account for every money that comes to your local government. That's what they do not know coming. And the discussion is on and on and on, and everybody is talking about local government autonomy and accountability. On Signature Television here, we bring a lot of experts to talk about it. And people think we are joking. It's what we have seen. It is not Uhuru. It's not business as usual. You can get endorsement, yes, from your principal. They sign you off. You just go just to feel that you want to election and you are back there. But remember, there's a proverb in Igbo land that says, Onye kela anobi, okelu mmo. Once they give you a portion of land in Igbo land as your own property, all the gods, all the spirits, all the ancestral spirits that are inhabiting that land is now your own, whether they are good or bad. Ikela and Obi, Ikelu more. So Ikelu local government, whichever local government, A, B, C, or D, Ikelu go more. And when it comes to accountability, not only you go account. Governor will not come to your help. Even at that time, the FCC will come. If you are calling the governor, he will tell you his phone will be busy.
Right. I mean, we're almost wrapping up right now. We have just 3 minutes, but just to squeeze this in, there are also worries about increase in pump price of fuel. The government is finally deregulating the downstream sector, and NNPC is pulling away from the middleman's role it used to have between the marketers and Dangote. So marketers can now go directly to Dangote to get their fuel. So many people think that with this latest move, that pump price of fuel might go up again.
They've succeeded. I was shouting here. They have succeeded in messing the whole process up. So once they pull out, I've told him, I said, make the pump price 5,000 naira. NNPCL pull out. Let fuel in Nigeria go at 5,000 because you succeeded in modeling things up. You never allow Dangote, all this Dangote, until Dangote sells fuel at 3,000 naira, everybody will rest. Sell it at 5, Nigeria will be better. But I'm saying, when you sell it 5,000, you come out on the street and see people, you will not say you are making a good point. If you come out of the street, you didn't see. But to the policy maker, NNPCL, they will run through the windows. I guarantee them that. There is a limit to what you can do to Nigerians. Make it, all this gra-gra, they've been talking from both sides to put this price at. That's what. Did they allow Dangote for one day tell us how much a liter of fuel is refining come out of? They say they are middlemen for us. Before Dangote could do anything, they have gone there to say that the people who will be the sole buyer. Are they not sole buying again? Let them sole buy and sell at the price they want it to. So why are they pulling out? Oh God, God in heaven will take charge of things and judge. Both the living and the dead, though. That's how God judges.
That Dangote had at some point said that with what the NNPC said at the time, that they bought at 9 something, that they bought 15 minutes less, 15% less. That told Nigeria to lie.
Signature Morning on Signature Television. We'll be moving ahead to a very interesting, discussion this morning. We'll be talking about building a tomorrow. The impact of smart green schools on ENUGU State education. And we have our important guest in the studio right now, Professor Ndubueze Leonard Mba, Commissioner of Education, ENUGU, Nigeria. We also have him as Red Institute Fellow, ACLS Fellow, Professor African, Gender, Atlantic History, Sonny Buffalo. And of course, he's an actor, Emergent Masculinities University at Buffalo. Good morning, Professor, and welcome.
Good morning.
You don't mind if I call you Professor instead?
No, that's fine.
Okay, so we're
can
talking.
also come in Duboise.
Okay, all right, you're welcome. So we're talking about green smart schools. Smart green schools. What are smart green schools to start with?
So the ENUGU Smart Green Schools, they're unique. They are the only smart green schools. They're the pioneer smart green schools in Africa. Mm-hmm. They're a product of the vision of our governor, the governor of ENUGU State, Barrister Peter Ndubuisi. There has been ideas about smart schools percolating in Africa, in Nigeria. We know that the Nigerian government had a smart school project across the country. We have one in ENUGU that never materialized. So the idea of smart school, generally, as people think about it, is that you have a reliance on technologies, modern technologies, to improve teaching and learning and prepare children with 21st century skills, inculcating them digital literacy and competency. But so that is a generic idea of smart school. But the ENUGU Smart Green Schools are much more than that. They are part of a huge strategy to turn around the human capital of ENUGU people to achieve in 4 to 8 years what it might take a generation to ordinarily achieve.
Okay.
I know I'm starting this way because the Smart Grade School is about, for the one in ENUGU, is focused on experiential learning. Now, experiential learning is about changing the way that teaching is done by teachers and changing the way that learning is achieved by students. It's about moving from traditional lecture pedagogy and rote learning to a practice-based learning system. Now, in that, so you learn through experience, through practice. And as a teacher, you design projects so that your children can learn through practice. So that's a basic principle, right? Now, technology, of course, is part of that, right? Technology becomes part of that. You want your children not to draw a computer, but to actually use computers every day to learn. You want your teachers not to explain computer to children, but to use it to teach them. And not just using those computers to develop the tactile skills and motor skills of using a keyboard, but they become a window into a world of knowledge that from ENUGU, our children can connect to learning resources around the world. They can access Harvard, Cambridge, Oxford, but they can connect with peers. They can drop into classrooms in sister colleges and schools. They can have a professor of mechatronics, a basic teacher of robotics, drop into their classroom and engage them. They can work in the Tomorrow is Here Innovation Studio on coding, on using Arduino kits to build lift gates and smart home models. And they do that with their teachers. They can go into our lab, science lab, where you have a biology, chemistry, physics lab, and they can work on projects and build things. They can go to the smart farm and observe photosynthesis. They can take different seedlings, combine them to produce new species and watch it over time. They can have a smart farm that they have helped to set up. And right now, for example, they have 60 crates of eggs from their farm that supplements their school feeding program. They can look at a situation where they have drilled a borehole, the state government has drilled a borehole, but they're not getting enough water. And so they go to their library and they research water solutions. And they identify a Canadian-based firm, write them a proposal, and the firm actually comes from Canada to Owo, test the water sample that the students have sent from Owo to New York and to Canada, and because of that, come to Owo and work with the students to come up with a water purification solution for the school. And now the children use that water purification solution as every day. That's how they get their filtered water. So experiential learning, I know I started with real examples of what we're actually doing. So it's not like theory or hypothesis.
Absolutely.
We've done this for a year, and our children are doing this, our teachers are doing this. So experiential learning is designing a system of teaching, a system of education that empowers our children to become problem solvers, to start seeing themselves as solutions to community problems, to societal problems, and enabling them with the skill to be that solution, and helping them to understand that the problems that are solving are not just unique to their own environment. that are part of global problems, that are tied to the Sustainable Development Goals. So they're not learning the SDGs.
Government, but there are issues. There are issues. I tell you what, I have seen videos and pictures of the school in Owo.
Yeah.
I understand that this is going to be 260 smart green schools across the 260 wards of Enugu State.
Yes.
Some of them are still under construction. Yeah. How long would it take to construct others? Because it's not those students in Owo that deserves to be smart.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so is there a time lag as to establishment of all of these institutions in these localities? Yeah. And another thing, because of how you have explained this, it seems to me that's going to be quite expensive to enroll in that kind of school. Okay. So is there a way of, you know, subsidizing that? And beyond that, you have smart green schools. How about the teachers?
So those are you going questions. Let me take those, don't add more, so I don't forget them. Okay. Let me start with the middle question because it's the quickest response. And I want to look to camera. Where's camera? Because I want people to see this. This is very important. The Enugu Smart Green Schools are 100% free. You
free
asked about subsidy.
Yeah.
No. The Enugu Smart Green Schools are 100% free.
For all the kids in that particular ward?
For all children in Enugu State. Because the children, we have a smart school built in every ward. We have 260 wards spread across 17 local government areas. So every ward, which is the smallest political unit in the state, every ward has a smart school. Okay. And every smart school accommodates 840 children in that ward. From nursery 1 to nursery 3, primary 1 to primary 6, and JES 1 to JES 3. Now, Enugu State, therefore, is offering 12 years of free universal basic education. When I say free, I mean free. No tuition fee. No, the state government provides their uniforms, provides all their textbooks. The smart school is equipped with solar. They have power. It's equipped with internet. It's equipped with 21 interactive smart boards in 21 classrooms. It's equipped with 84 all-in-one computer systems, 40 that make up the digital library, 40 that make up the ICT, and 4 that are these 2 in the innovation studio, 1 in admin, and 1 in the school clinic. So I mentioned these things because we have 840 children in each smart school because nursery 1 has 40 children, nursery 2 40, nursery 3 40, that's 120. Primary 1 to 6, that's basic 1 to 6, has A and B, each one 40. JES 1 to 3, that's basic 7 to 9, has A and B, each classroom 40. So you have 840 children. And every smart school has 40 smart teachers. 4 English language, 4 mathematics, 5 basic technology, 3 basic science. It goes like that, all the way to health and physical education. Across the 14 basic education subjects of the Nigerian basic education curriculum.
Have they been trained?
They are smart teachers because they have been trained, not just in digital literacy, but in experiential learning. And that is what distinguishes the ENUGU Smart Green Schools, experiential learning. It is a pedagogy that is being used innovatively in mostly American universities. It is the, imagine like a hyped up internship program where you prepare undergraduates, university undergraduates with skills that now make them desirable by industries. Industries now target them and say, come to us because of their skills. And they have micro-credentials for those skill areas that they have accomplished. And they have, in those micro-credentials, projects that they have accomplished as proof of concept, as proof of competency. And those are digital badges that if you scan the QR code, their project comes up. If you click on it, their project comes up, and it's tied to competencies across the globe. So that model is what Enugu State has introduced to their basic education. Now the question is, what kind of governor thinks up, imagines the future of the children of his state and says that I want to take this type of upskilling and introduce it in foundational learning. We're not just talking about foundational numeracy and literacy. we are preparing Enugu children for the fourth industrial revolution. By year 2050, 60% of global youth will be in Africa. Almost 50% of that youth are Nigerians. The question is, how do you prepare African youth? How do you prepare Nigerian youth for an Afro future of the fourth industrial revolution? And the governor is saying, I want Enugu state children to be at the forefront. And that is why we have to invest in them through what he calls disruptive innovation. At the time when people are thinking about fixing leaking roofs and furnishing old, he's saying no. That model of 3 classroom blocks, poorly built, is not the environment. It's not the safe, conducive environment for imparting 21st century and fourth industrial revolution education to children. You need to build a smart school, one that can accommodate all the resources to deliver revolutionary basic education. That by the time a child finishes the ENUGU Smart Grade School and writes his basic education completion examination, that child can do a startup.
Okay.
That child can go to technical and vocational schools and develop a vocation. They can now go to senior secondary schools and prepare for a professional study at a university. But they will know exactly what their competencies are. And they will be productive members of society.
So how do you mobilize them? How do one qualify, to participate? Or all of those students, how are they going to be qualified to participate in this particular?
As teachers.
As teachers and as students, how do you get them?
So every child of school age in every ward is automatically qualified to be in the smart school.
Is
Whether
it a
you're
form
an
of
indigene or not an indigene.
registration?
It's for Enugu State, citizens.
Citizens, okay.
But what we've also witnessed is that over time, Enugu is Nigeria's education tourism destination. It didn't start today. Whether you live in Lagos, Abuja, or Kano, Nigeria sends their children to Enugu State to be educated. It didn't start now. And that will continue. So we know that eventually the demand will be so high that we'll have to build more smart schools. It is a no-brainer. It's going to happen. Right? The smart school requires smart teachers. That's one of the questions he asked.
Yeah.
We've had to not only invest in upskilling our current public school teachers, but also opening up an opportunity for new forms of teachers, new kinds of teachers. People who, mechatronics, robotics, these are not part of the grade. So we've had to create them and be ready, move beyond the limits of the national curriculum, so we have to now identify teachers trained in these new emerging knowledge areas and bring them into the smart school.
So I'm also concerned about other teachers who are teaching in that sphere. I understand that you're not going to move away or chase away those teachers who also teach in those other schools in the ward, because they're still government schools. Yeah. Are you removing funding from those schools?
So what we're doing, is that because the smart schools are the new public schools. They are the new government schools.
Okay,
They're replacing
the ones that are there.
The
old ones.
Primary schools that are dilapidated, that are
okay.
old. So Enugu need to understand, especially in Enugu, the world can listen, but Enugu need to understand that the smart schools are the new government public schools.
Okay. So but then the teachers who are not smart,
we're now training the teachers.
Okay, training the teachers,
preparing them for their CBT assessment.
Okay.
So October and November, we're going to be training existing 18,700 Enugu public school teachers in digital literacy. Why we're investing in digital literacy for them is that we want them to be able to take the CBT, the computer-based test. Because with the pilot we did and the first phase of our recruitment, 26,000 candidates applied. 17,000 plus wrote the CBT.
Okay.
Only 4,253 passed. That is 84% failure and 16% pass. That told us a lot of things. There was a marginal percentage of teachers who we observed understood. If we had administered the exam, pen and paper, they could have passed. But because it was CBT,
digital, yeah.
many of them
Could not
grabbed their
use it.
mouse and they were moving it in the air. They couldn't even click through the assessment. This is true.
Okay.
I'm not saying it to shame anybody, but to acknowledge that the state government has a huge responsibility. The job, the task is an uphill one. Because on average, 80% of teachers in Nigeria have not received any professional development over the past 16 years. And our teachers do not have in Nigeria generally, the primary and secondary school teachers do not have a culture of personal investment in professional development,
yes.
as you will find maybe in tertiary institutions,
Absolutely.
where a lecturer knows, oh, I have to attend professional conferences, I have to publish papers, I have to invest in myself, I have to, continue to pursue, So that incentive system for investment in personal professional development is not part of the cultural landscape of public pre-tertiary education in Nigeria. That's a fact. NUT will tell you this. The Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria will tell you this, right? So what we're trying to do now is to build a new culture of teacher professionalization.
So if teachers are not, adapting to the system, what happens to them?
They are very open to the system. As you can imagine, people are scared when you introduce something new. Even when we introduce, digital teaching pedagogies in tertiary institutions, our distinguished professors, not just in Nigeria, even in my university at the State University of New York, as a professor, we are very resistant to
New thing.
We say, I've been teaching this way, why would I change it, right? Why are you making me switch from Moodle to Brightspace? This is annoying, right? I thought, so people are not always, they don't warm up easily. But then the new thing, once they get used to it, is better than the old one, because it's an improvement. So we are also providing incentives to teachers. The package for smart school teachers is quite attractive. Apart from the new minimum wage, every smart school teacher is provided free housing.
Oh, wow.
In proximity to the smart school.
Okay.
So they have an apartment that's self-con, that is furnished, that has free running water, free solar, and free internet.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm just wondering, before you continue, how
I'm going to ask whether you want to apply or something.
how can I apply? How do you know the question I wanted to ask? How do I apply?
So we're going to, I don't know if the student is ready to lose you. But, so we've just completed our first phase of recruitment, and so now we're going to start. First, we wanted to start just training the 4,000. But based on what we saw from that assessment, we are driven by data. When we came in, first thing we did in November, we did a baseline assessment of numeracy and literacy across Enugu State. And what we saw was shocking. 50% of children in Enugu State who complete primary school could not read with comprehension.
Who complete primary school?
Yes. Could not read with comprehension.
Wow.
Yes, it is shocking. Primary 6 students could not solve primary 4 level simple subtraction problems. That means they are 2 grades behind. The same thing in reading and writing. So that was when we saw that data, and we contracted an independent firm that had done it in other states and countries to come and do it, so that in fact, we refused to at first accept. But we couldn't. It's just a fact. So we now, as a state government, the state governor said, okay, we have to confront this head on. Not just, the smart school is not about the building. The building looks pretty. It's not about the building. It's what happens inside. And then he said, okay, we're going to build a pilot and pilot it for 1 year, experiment solutions there, document the process and the outcomes, and then work on scaling the solutions across the state. And that's what OWO has been, an experiment for a year.
Okay, just in OWO.
Oh, wow.
OWO was our experiment for 1 year. And you could not believe 4 primary schools, 2 secondary schools. We put all the children in all the 4 primary schools and nursery schools. All the just 1 to 3 in the 2 secondary schools. We brought them to the smart school, 726 of them. And then we admitted more and got about 872. Primary 6 could not read and write, could not solve primary 2 mathematics. For almost 2 stems, we invested in Jolly Phonics, in foundational literacy and numeracy interventions, in circle time, in friendship tables, in just basics. And it worked like magic. It worked like magic. These are now the children who were just despondent. And now they are so, the change, the transformation. So these are the children that we met in classrooms that were dilapidated. They were, their uniforms were torn, they were malnourished. And after a year, they came to Akbara Square and they came first in a march past. The graduating class, after a year for Besse, did so well, they got automatic scholarship. 35 boys to CIC, 25 girls to HRC.
Wow. Okay, I'm just wondering, when you mention all of these things, I get so excited, but then I'm looking at how can you be able to assess some other people, because looking forward, there's going to be a time where before you enroll, before you can be able to participate, you must have to have, someone that has someone, that kind of connection in Nigeria mentality connection.
You need to, so what?
How do you assess the rural people that don't have, poor masses out there?
So the smart schools are
government schools.
They are ward level. They are owned by the ward. Like the Igwes, the PGs, the communities, the youth, the councillors, the local government chairman. Those are the communities are the true owners of the smart schools. It's not government house, it's not Lion Building, it's not Pitamba. It's not because NSUBEB will manage those schools. Will continue to, pay the teachers, supervise them. The Ministry of Education will continue to oversee the professional development of the teachers. 40 hours minimum professional development every year in partnerships with the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. We have built a center for, we are building a center for experiential learning and innovation. That fund is funding it at the ENUGU State College of Education Technique, opposite ShopRite. That is a center, a 2,500 capacity center for teachers' professional training and development. It means that we want to make sure that even before students graduate from ESSET, the State Teachers Training College, that they have passed through the smart school experience. That center is will be equipped with everything in the smart school. So teachers will students will do their teaching practice there, be used to a smart classroom, all the resources there, be certified as smart teachers before they even graduate. So the sustainability solutions, the governor is already invested in the sustainability solutions. And the people from each ward, children from each ward, have priority access to the basic smart green school in their ward.
So when would all other schools come to?
So we are, right now we have about 10 schools that will be ready by the end of December.
By the end of this year?
Yes.
10 more schools?
10 more schools. And then by September 2025, all the other schools are supposed to be ready.
All? All 260?
Yes, and the pressure is on the contractors. They are getting all their money in time, and the state task force is on them to keep to their timeline.
Okay.
And Ministry of Works is on them to make sure that the quality of construction is met, while the Ministry of Education is focusing on timeline assurance. The Secretary of State Government is leading the state team. In every local government area, we have a task force, a local government task force that goes to the sites every day. The Ministry of Works has 60 engineers. Each of them assigned to about 4 sites that they report on every day. In the Data Control and Security Center at the Government House, all of the pictures and data and reports from all the sites are being uploaded. The governor has a direct line of sight on all of the 260 locations, right? So this is a priority for the state government to get the schools completed, equipped. The materials for equipping the smart schools, the 260 are already being procured. The smart boards are already being procured. The computers for the labs are already being procured.
How do you maintain it, in the future because of?
Yeah, so the
You
other
have plans?
sustainability thing is that we've partnered with Heya Group, Global Heya, the parent company of Heya Tamuka and all that. So they're setting up an assembly plant in Enugu
Okay.
for the assembly and repair of all of the electronic equipment that we have in our schools. And they're also going to train our young people to be able to assemble, repair. And Enugu State is positioned to supply not just the southeast,
Okay.
but much of the country.
So what provisions are you
So that
making?
is a sustainability.
Yeah, what provisions are you making for students or for children who are in special needs?
Yes.
You've not mentioned that part.
Thank you. The smart schools are inclusive schools. The smart schools are 100% inclusive. There is a Learners with Disability Resource Center in every smart school.
Okay.
There are resource persons in every smart school. Our learners with disabilities, whether they're visually impaired, they have auditory impairments, mobility impairments, they are accommodated in the smart school and they learn with their peers. We are working to ensure that all of the stigma and trauma that is embedded in educational institutions that we disrupt them and ensure an inclusive campus. Even the physical construction, we have ramps, all the floors are ramped, so anybody on a wheelchair can easily access all the facilities. At the smart school at Owo, we have a 100% visually impaired student. All his classmates know now how to move about with him in the school. He goes to refectory with his peers. He attends classes with his peers. He participates in all the experiential learning projects with his peers. It's quite amazing to see when they walk out of the classroom, they know they line up, and he already has depending on his body for that day, he puts his hand on their right shoulder,
Okay.
and they move.
Okay.
And it's just amazing to see. Our best smart teacher for the 2023-2024 academic year is a gifted mathematician who is physically impaired. Right. So the state government has invested in their medical interventions. They're getting prosthetic legs. They're getting all manner of and it's already ongoing. But the idea is that it is an inclusive campus. An inclusive school means that you want to ensure equal support for all learners, irrespective of their health disabilities. And that means that if you're teaching digital literacy, you need to have not just braille machines and braille papers and a brailleist for a visually impaired person, right? You also need to invest in their digital training. And that is why you equip that resource center, and that's why you have resource persons. And every smart school has a clinic with 2 registered nurses.
I was about to ask you that. Yeah.
And all of the health data of all the 840 children in that school are stored in that computer in the clinic. Their immunization records, their births, data, their pre-existing conditions, their vitals. Every child every year receives eye examination, hearing examination, right? And so all of those things are documented so that if, for example, tomorrow the World Health Organization wants to administer a new immunization and they want to know which children have been vaccinated against a smallpox or measles or something, we can just call up the data and push it to the Ministry of Health. So, every year we spend millions of naira on school census. Now we are using an ENUGU education management system, a digital management system that is backed by artificial intelligence, and that is what we use to run and manage all of the smart schools.
Right.
I have a dashboard. From that dashboard, I can see, because teachers use NMs to take attendance online, to register assessment data, to develop their own scheme of work and lesson plans with AI. So I can see all of the data.
From your
On my
office.
dashboard in the morning, on my phone, I can tell you how many children I know right now, how many children are absent, how many teachers are there, how many teachers have administered their continuous assessment.
Right. Just two quick questions, because we're wrapping up now. The first one is, how does this align with the governor's movement from the economy of the state from $4 billion to $30 billion?
Thank you.
And then the second one would be, what is the security situation in these schools? What is it going to be like? Because there's a lot of investments in this. As I can imagine the amount of monies that have been invested in just one of the schools.
Yeah.
What is the security situation like? Because of course we've seen issues with security. Situation where we would show up in school and wouldn't see all of these systems that has been provided. What is it like?
Thank you. I'll start with the latter and end on the former. Every smart school is being sited in a secure area, centers of communities. The criteria are that the smart school has be sited in a place that is central, that is accessible, that is unencumbered, and that has security sustainability. So even the community security watch, right? They build their posts close to the smart school.
Okay.
Police stations are encouraged to be sited close to smart schools. Every ward has a security apparatus that's responsible for the smart school. The local government mayors are charged with ensuring there's a security strategy for all the smart schools, that there is a waste management solution for all the smart schools and healthcare facilities. So there's a lot of thought that have gone in, and strategy and plans and implementation ongoing for the security of the smart schools. The smart schools are Governor Peter Mbah's first response to a sustainable solution to poverty eradication in the long term. It says if, we want, of course, prepare the children for wealth creation. But if it's about wealth creation may still focus on the rich. It may not solve poverty eradication. The way you solve poverty eradication is to invest in the human capital development that reaches everybody. So that achieving 0% poverty headcount index requires massive investment in education of our children. That's one. For you to achieve that growth from $4.4 billion GDP to $30 billion GDP, you need a skilled workforce. Not just a skilled workforce for traditional modes of economic production, but also for emerging economies. And that is why the smart school is so critical to achieving that economic growth projection. Not just now, but for the long term. And every child that graduates from a smart school in the near future will transition into one of 8 technical and vocational schools, or one of 17 smart senior secondary schools in Enugu State. So the governor, I think, in my assessment, the greatest legacy accomplishment and the greatest gift to a generation is this education reform.
So how do you see the smart school initiative in the next decade? How do you see the outcome, and how do you measure success?
I want to see 8,400 times 260 of children in Enugu State enrolled in 260 smart schools. I want to see 40 times 260 teachers, smart teachers, delivering experiential learning across the smart schools. when that day comes, it means that people would leave Enugu, move back to their communities. Their children will be assured that they are attending the best school in Nigeria. They can start investing in their development of their communities. That Japa will not be moving physically elsewhere, but Japaing your own skills.
Outside.
Eh?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds really, really fantastic.
I'm looking forward to that.
Right. I'm wondering why it's not also replicated in the tertiary institution, because after your secondary school, what happens? Are you going to go to a moribund or
Very important question.
So
we have started that. We have started
So
that
we-
as
you
well.
just
So
have
if
to
you
go.
notice, we've received the NUC accreditation for mechatronics and robotics at IMT at ASUT.
Okay.
We are investing in the radical transformation of the Enugu State College of Education Technical, the ESPOLI, Iwolo College of Agriculture is set to become a University of Agriculture.
Okay, just 1 minute. Just
So
finish up.
there
for
is
1
a
minute.
massive investment as well in transforming our tertiary institutions.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Commissioner for Education in Enugu State, Professor Ndubweze. Thank you so much for your
It's a
time.
pleasure.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me.
All right.
And thank you to our governor.
Very important.
Yeah, thank you to our governor. He's doing a marvelous job.
All right. We're headed for a short break. We'll be back after this. Do stay with us.
Thank you.
welcome back. This is the Signature Morning on Signature Television. You have been, hanging out there with us, and of course, we'll be moving ahead to another segment where we'll be discussing increased women involvement in drug trafficking. Yes, and this morning we have in our studio Olunwa. I hope I get that right. Ibezim, that's the Deputy Commander, NDLEA, ENUGU State Command. Welcome, sir. I hope I didn't murder your name anyways.
It's permissible.
Good morning and welcome, sir. Okay, we'll be having this trend, of course, even in our newspaper headlines. We had yesterday, yes, a woman involvement in drug trafficking, about 9 billion naira, what, I don't know. So I want to actually ask, what is happening? What's the new trend? How are you seeing the new trend? Is it that this is a new way, for people to get out of hardship and hunger?
Thank you very much. I consider my being here not just a mere coincidence, but very timely. And I just want to say straight out that it's not necessary for us to start playing the ostrich and pretend it's not happening. It is terrible. And unfortunately, those things we hold very dear. Women are custodians of our values. Is grossly being eroded. And these days, we're getting more and more disturbing news of women overtaking men in the drug business. But I want to equally tell you that it did not start today. It's been a trend that we have not taken seriously. Unfortunately, in Edo and Delta, we do apologies to those affected. Most homes you go to, the families rally around and send their daughters abroad to go and sell drugs. Italy, Germany, the statistics are there. In fact, for those that have not been able to send their daughters to those countries, they are being attacked negatively of not keying into the investment. And you'll agree with me that this issue of codeine and tramadol, how was it discovered that it was a problem? It was amongst a gathering of a prominent Kano politician that was having a get-together in his house. Then, of course, the women will gather somewhere. So while they were gathering and enjoying, phone was missing. So they said, no, they need to search for the phone. In the course of the search, the law enforcement people discovered that the women had large quantities of codeine and this cough syrup laced with codeine. And the enormity of it was so much, it could not be concealed. That was when the alarm came out. And they started checking why the codeine, why the cough syrup with codeine. They now saw that when consumed, that it keeps them on, since they can't smoke or drink. So within themselves, they consume codeine, cough syrup with codeine. And they now looked at the statistics. It was brought to the house, the problem, and they now did a survey and discovered that daily, 2 million women in Kano take drugs, especially the codeine and tramadol. Then in Jigawa, every day, 1 million women, as it is, as I'm talking with you. Is that not disturbing? It's disturbing.
Well, I'm stunned by these revelations that you're putting.
You have to. You should.
What does it help them do? And secondly, I just wanted to find out again, because maybe I missed that particular line you said. This was how tramadol and syrup was found out to be prevalent amongst youths in the north. Is it a
Amongst
recent
women.
amongst women? Is it a recent happening? When was this?
That was 2008.
2008.
2008 is 218. Sorry,
2018.
2018.
This was how NDLA found out that women take these drugs.
This is how the whole society of Nigeria found out. Not only NDLA, but we took it a step further and started, first of all, by pursuing legislation for it to be a controlled substance when we knew it was actually a problem and it was substance subject to high abuse and intoxication.
So what does it help these women do?
I'm not a woman. And I don't think tramadol, but from the interviews and those we have prosecuted, is another way of getting high.
Just to get high?
Well, the same reason people take cannabis, people take methamphetamine. There's crystal ice in our local palace, Mporomiri.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the legislation are three men, with due apologies too, in the north. The women are not, because of the religion, they are not allowed certain things. But within them and their cluster, the way they discovered that this thing, that they could use it to get high, I don't know. But as I tell you, the whole northern states, they have taken it to the floor of the House of Assembly. And what is required is to create effective awareness on the dangers. Because some of these women don't know.
The dangers?
The dangers, definitely. They don't know. So they just take it because, the women are always together and it's a social gathering. And they do it. So the northern senators and House of, I think one Alaji Dodo, if I'm not mistaken, brought it to the House, and over 40 something members put it up that there is need to really, really look into it. Imagine consuming 2 million of tramadol every day in a state.
Every day.
So it's quite disturbing.
Wow.
Can you provide the type of the profiles? Is it per age? What age do you think?
Okay, between the ages of 16 to 45.
Wow.
These are the healthy, working
Women.
and viable age being destroyed.
I mean, to look at it from a broader perspective, I mean, Kano is a very religious state. And of course, for a woman at that period, usually on their hijab, and then you wonder, this number is quite shocking to me. I've never heard a thing like this before. But I'm just wondering, you said Kano is 2 million, Jigawa is 1 million, and I'm wondering, what would Lagos be? What would a place like Oyo be, and what would a place like Rivers be? It's actually a problem. Where do we go from here?
Beautiful. I'll just briefly give you a practical experience. When I discovered what I did, unfortunately, I went into the inner part of my office. I cried. I've always been on the side of operations before I got into counseling. Incidentally, I was head of Strike Force, Lagos State. On this fateful day, we went for operations. Usually I lead my operations. We arrested a young girl somewhere around Ojodu. Ojudu were arrested in a joint. We went to raid a joint. And in the joint, we arrested a girl amongst other young men. When we got to my office, we now discovered that this girl, as at then, was 16 years old, 15 plus. And she was in a boarding school somewhere around there. It was on a Friday. She went on that Friday to stay with the boyfriend, whom we equally arrested. That night, she followed the boyfriend to go and buy cannabis, which she said she's been smoking for the past 2 years. Wow. At 15 plus. And watch out, she was built to ride jump the next day, Saturday. And I now asked her, your parents, are they aware? She said no. And as I am the only daughter, that if we let the parents know that the mother will commit suicide. I was now left between my professional ethics and the human side of it. And I said, well, you don't throw away the baby with the dirty water. I recommended to my commander, let us give her administrative bail. Let her go and write her jump. We held the boyfriend down because of the quantity of cannabis we saw with him. We collected the details. She wrote jump the next day. We now traced the mom and called her. She came to office at Ikeja, Nako. We asked her to ask the daughter to come. They now went to bring the daughter. When they brought the daughter to office, the girl almost passed out. But we didn't have any choice but to open up to the mother. And the mother was shocked. So from this scenario, 15 or 16-year-old girl, secondary school. I'm not a politician, and I've never ascribed to be one. There's something the First Lady of ENUGU State has initiated and is working. She says it's a foundation for the girl child. Costos
Yes,
Foundation. And not less than 2 times, June 26th, she partnered with us to get a lot of girls from the secondary school to do a sensitization roadwork. Positive. Thumbs up for her. But it goes much more than that. So she needs to step up on it and not leave it to her aides. But what impressed me was that she was part of that road walk from beginning to end. I was actually impressed. And since then, for whatever reasons, she has not gotten across to us. But I will equally advise that she puts her people on ground. The drug menace, let us narrow it down to ENUGU. For the girl child, it is bad enough.
It is.
As I speak with you, a recent survey says that as of today, over 400,000 youths in ENUGU are abusing drugs.
400,000.
400,000 now, according to P2B. The records are there. Go and verify. These things are domiciled in public domain. They are not. We are not. We don't have reasons to falsify or exaggerate figures. But
By youth, you mean both men and women, both boys
both
and
men
girls?
and women.
Okay.
But I want to tell you that amongst this figure, about 48% are women.
Wow.
48% in ENUGU State. And unfortunately, it has, when something bad crops up, it becomes a multi-headed hydra. Drug abuse now has given birth to cultism amongst girls in secondary schools. I wouldn't want to name the schools for obvious reasons. But the mechanism the state government have, they should be able to identify such schools in Enugu State.
Well, you're partnering with the
You're
First
the
Lady. I mean, you
deputy,
should
yeah.
have just mentioned it to her. And so
I said
For investigation
the
purposes.
partnership about 2 times road work. And I said since then, they have not gotten
reached out.
to NDLA.
So-
It's something that needs to be,
Yeah.
it's a routine
Routine.
thing. It's not, it's a routine thing. I have my job to do. I don't think it will be
Yes.
proper for me every day. I go and start hanging around government house. Oh, no, I can't
Okay,
do
so
that.
let's talk about the role of NDLEA. What measures are you putting in place, to address this rising involvement of women in trafficking of drugs?
Thank you very much. I would have been disappointed if you didn't ask me. I want to tell you for free that we are very much on top of it. As I speak with you, the Honorable Chairman Chief Executive, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, have put up a 5-year drug control master plan scheme from 2000, OH, to 2021 to 2025.
Okay.
5-year master plan. And the aim, just like this year's United Nations thing, we want to deal more on counseling. It is cheaper to counsel people, let them know the dangers of drugs, than to arrest and use taxpayers' money and prosecute. And that is the 80% vision of the Honorable Chairman, which my state commander is 100% has keyed in. Mr. Abel Sunu Wadahi, Commander of Narcotics, Enugu State Commander. He has made sure that at least every week we carry out a minimum of 5 sensitization in schools and major parts of Enugu State from our meager resources from NDLA. I don't know if you understand what I've said.
I'll get you.
From the little, maybe, allowances to run his office, he uses it to do sensitization, at least 5 every week, which is part of what I'm doing here. He fueled the Jeep and make sure we have come. So what I will suggest, we are not really keen on stuffing our cells with suspects. We are more interested in letting people know the dangers embedded, inherent in this hideous crime. And we are succeeding. Initially, we had State Drug Abuse Control Committee, which the First Lady is heading. But it has not been very active, not only in Enugu State, but across. And they now looked, what do we do? The chairman have now trickled it down to local government drug abuse control committee, with the wife of the local government chairpersons as head. Then the women leaders, councillors, traditional rulers, religious leaders, and all that. So the thing is trickling down to almost the nooks and crannies. Fortunately, before this is my little promotion, I was the immediate past area commander, Oji River. And before it was comprising of 2 or 3 local governments. But the chairman is saying no, that for us to make effective impact, all the local governments now must have NDLE officers. And he's paying. And a tasking order too, that all the area command must carry out sensitization in schools and relevant places.
I just wanted to ask this because, again, many people in some quarters will say that the fight against drug abuse is one that is, yes, important, but it does look like it will not really yield the fruit, maximum fruit, that more people are being exposed to drug every single day. They gave example of, for instance, US, UK, in other countries where you can buy cannabis across the counter. And even the governor of Ondo State, God bless his soul, Akeredolu, at some point was advocating for, to legalize drugs. I mean,
and there's another person you have not mentioned, Showore. No, I mean, this is
right.
The public domain.
Yes, yes.
Showore is an advocate,
for
yes.
So I'm just wondering, like, to what extent, really, how is the NDLA, reacting to that thought about legalizing a drug, and at the same time, because again, so there are some aspects of that drug that is used to even do our medicine today. So I'm just wondering, how is the NDLA reacting to these?
Beautiful. I will equally tell you categorically, without missing words, we are totally against legalizing those things they call medical cannabis or whatever. The reasons are simple. We don't have the mechanisms to control. We don't have. And it's subject to 95% abuse. That we have put legislation and it's been abused. When you now remove some of these legislations, then, but again, they say like corruption. Corruption has become endemic. It has fortified itself. It has bulletproof. That is how the drug war was before now. Unfortunately, there were instances where we're seeing connivance and all that, and drug barons succeeding, until this chairman came. I'm not patronizing. The records are what? Yeah. Are there. Go and verify. Recently, and it cumulates from the statistics we have, and the arrest. You're the one that mentioned the arrest of 9 billion substance. I want to equally inform you of the Canadian woman, Munjo, arrested with about 74 parcels, and Annette Munjo, a Canadian citizen. And the reason, she was recruited online from an online platform for 10,000 Canadian dollars. And what was her reason for doing this? To further her master's degree program in Canada. Wow. And what does it tell us? That we should be careful. The kind of platform we're engaging. And maybe this person has equally promised her, I will marry you. Just do this. So the women should stop being gullible. They should stop being desperate. And look at somebody doing masters. What stops you from working and apply for grants and aid, knowing fully well that immediately you graduate, you will benefit.
Right.
Do you know, I'm very happy with you with the questions you're asking. And that is what I would have talked about if you didn't ask me. We have a rehabilitation center in ENUGU, 100% funded by NDLA.
Okay.
Wow.
We invite people to come and...
Where is it located?
in my office, in our office.
Okay.
Okay.
But then, it's a small rehab that accommodates maximum of 20 people. But sometimes it's overstretched, and we say, okay, because sometimes parents will come and cry. Prominent parents from Enugu State. One of them touched my heart yesterday. A retired justice. I will not want to mention his name.
Wow.
For very obvious reasons. Retired. The man was shedding tears. His only son. And a lawyer too. You understand? Retired justice emeritus. Crying. So sometimes, when you don't do, that is why I said some overstretched. And the traffic is on a daily basis. We have spoken with the government. And we have not gotten response. Well, that's just the truth. And every day, if you think I'm joking or I'm exaggerating, send one of your staff to come from 8 o'clock and just sit in my office till 2 o'clock. A minimum of 10 parents come every day. And the facilities are small. And it's only for men. A lot of women are coming. Some will walk to us. Please, I'm on drugs. I want to be rehabilitated. And we tell them, you cannot stay with men. And we turn them back.
Wow.
We turn them back. While we go to the extent of giving them counseling, sometimes we tell them, come from home.
Okay.
You are free to inspect the facility anytime. You are free to inspect. So it is 100% funded by NDLA. And we are saying, give us a place. Let us give these people a second chance. Let us rehabilitate them a little. I don't think it costs much. Some of the senators will come to our office when their wards have problems. They will promise heaven and earth. Some will even say, yes, I will not set it up in your office, I will set it up in my constituency. And the moment we rehabilitate those ones, you never see them again. And you know they are big men, I will not mention their names.
Wow.
Okay.
So sometimes there are some things you don't play politics with. And it's very unfortunate. I'm from Abia. I'm not from Enugu. But I'm here. And it pains me that we are not being responsive enough for these problems. There are wealthy individuals. When they come, bring their children, and you rehabilitate them. After 4 months, they're okay. They send them abroad and forget all the promises they have made.
Okay, thank you very much. Because of time, we know we'll have to let it go here, but we'll also keep on, getting in touch with you, subsequently bring you to talk more about drug and of course
say,
drug
before I
trafficking.
go, just say NDLE, Enugu State, we are trying. We are like the proverbial lizard. As none of you have said, we are trying. We are
No,
trying.
you're doing well. You're doing well.
We know you're
NDLA
doing well.
did
You do
well.
well.
Trying.
Thank you very much for honoring this interview. All right, this is where we will wrap it up on this morning's edition. We'll be heading over to other things we have lined up for you this morning. Charles.
Yeah, we're connecting to Abuja for other interviews. Charles is my name.
And
Have
I'm
a beautiful
Belinda.
day.
Stay with us.
Welcome. This is Entertainment News on Signature TV. I am your host, Favor Mwachi. On today's segment, I bring you the latest and current trends, fashion, celebrity gists, and much more. First, we have Nollywood actress Regina Daniels as she reflects on her long list of accomplishments in her 20s as her birthday approaches in few days. In a recent Instagram post, the mother of two shared heartwarming family photos with her sons and husband, revealing she lost track of time in her 20s. She expressed amazement at what she had built and achieved at such a young age, noting how far she had come in life. The senator's wife proudly declared herself to be God's favorite child. She wrote in an Instagram post, "In a few days, I'll be turning a year older. Honestly, I have lost track of age and just take every day as it comes. Looking back, I can only be amazed at what this early 20s girl has built and achieved. And I give all glory to God. A lot of people don't know this, but I am God's favorite child." Davido finally squashes beef with Amaju Pinnick. Davido in 2023 engaged in a highly publicized dispute with businessman and former NFF president Amaju Pinnick over his failure to perform at the Worry Again show. According to court documents, Amaju Pinnick sued Davido for 2 billion naira over claims that the singer failed to honor his contractual obligation to perform at the annual comedy and music show in Warri, Delta State. The dispute escalated to social media with Davido calling out Pinnick over using his image to promote the show despite communicating his unavailability. Recently, all now appears to be well between Davido and Pinnick, with the multi-award-winning hitmaker headlining the 2024 edition of the annual event. As a sign of their reconciliation, Davido had earlier extended an invitation to Mr. Pinnick and his wife for his news-making wedding. Next on, we have veteran Nollywood actress Patience Ozokwo links up with the former First Lady of Nigeria, Patience Jonathan. The actress, widely known for her iconic roles in Nollywood, demonstrated deep respect and humility as she knelt down to greet the former First Lady. Their interaction warmed the hearts of many. The video posted on Patience Ozokwo's official Instagram page shows Mrs. Jonathan embracing the actress after being welcomed into her home. The affectionate meeting between the two notable figures has been widely celebrated, with fans commending Ozokwo for her humility. The encounter between them drew praise and admiration from followers, with many lauding Ozokwo for upholding the tradition of respect and showing deference to elders. Controversial singer Habib Okikiola, popularly known as Portable, has claimed that Big Brother Naija reality show is no longer as entertaining as it used to be. According to him, the housemates this season didn't garner much buzz despite the huge publicity of the show. The Zazu crooner urged the organizers to pay him 100 million naira, which was the grand prize for the just concluded season, to entertain viewers of the show. On his Instagram stories, Portable wrote, "Big Brother Naija no sweet again like before. All these people, no blow, make them pay me 100 million. I go use cruise, finish them." And that's all on today's segment. For more entertainment stories, keep it coming on our YouTube channel and follow us at Signature TV on every social media platform. I remain your host, Favor Mwachi. Thank you for watching.
very good morning to you and welcome to Signature Morning. My name is Godwin Sunday. The issues around human rights violations across the world has become a very crucial issue to handle. So we're trying to look at it from another perspective, and joining us in this conversation is the International Human Rights Movement United Nations chairman and the person of Rana Basharat Ali Khan, and he will be putting some issues, especially within the human rights, global human rights violation in perspective this morning. You're welcome to Signature Morning, Rana.
Good morning.
Rana, so good to have you this morning on Signature TV.
Thank you. Having
All right. So again, we understand that within across the world there is this issue of looking at the issues around global human rights violations. Yeah, you're welcome, Rana.
Thank you.
All right. And the issues around human rights violations so far across the world.
You can hear me properly? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Rana.
Okay, because we are more than superpower. This is that we need to for equality and for human rights. I trust you.
I fit talk. To live on course side. All right, so we are having technical issues, Rana, but then we're trying to even look at the issues that borders on human rights violations globally. Look, starting from Pakistan. That we have some form of stability across the world in terms of human rights. Human rights.
shaking as if the building want to fall.
This one started on Saturday.
Welcome back. So let's go back. Come back to you, Rana, at this point. Rana, so please bring us up to speed with what's going on in terms of human rights and violation across the world. What's the progress level like so far?
Okay, thank you. I think the internet is very clear now. First of all, we have to understand us. Why we are talking about human rights. First of all, this is not a human right fight about color, culture, or religion, or sectors, or area of fight. This is a fight. There is a top 5 countries. They are part of the United Nations, and they are also the biggest supplier on the weapon in the planet. One of the weapon suppliers weapon. These weapons are used by the both parties involved in any part of the world in the war. So this is a, and the second is a Germany, fourth is a Sweden, and similar like France. These are the top 5 countries around the world. And when there are sellers, they need a customer. Who's the customer? Who are in and for example, the problem is, look at the China and Taiwan problem created by USA and United Kingdom. Same thing. Look at the issue in Afghanistan created by USA and his alliance. Look at the situation in Iraq, problem created by USA and European Union and NATO army. So everywhere, wherever there is a war, there is only few international faces are or possible for all these kind of mess. And when they are responsible for these kind of mess, or they want a peace. If they want a peace, they will lose the money for selling weapon. If they lose the money to selling weapon, they will lose their power region. Because right now, like look at the example, the China is the fastest growing world power. So US can't beat them unless they are not that much strong financially and they do not have a hold on a different part of the world. So this is an economics war, and this is not something we can call color, religion, or sector-based war. So we have to understand this deeply, and when we understand these issues, then we realize the United Nations is just one of the social club. United Nations is just a puppet. They are not doing something great to stop these wars and bring the justice for humanity. Look at the Palestine. It's almost 1 year now. They killed more than 100,000 people, and world is silence. Even the recent statement from last 1 year, America openly support that.
All right, Rana, let's even talk. How do you even access the current state of human rights in conflict zones like Ukraine, Syria, and Yemen so far?
In my previous statement, but the simple thing, we have to find out the reason. That's a bullet point. Me and you need to sleep with it. What is the reason why the Ukraine and Russia are fighting? What is the reason? The reason is a power. A reason is a control. Reason is to present that I am the superpower. In one side, Ukraine never ever take their defeat from the US, that they lose a world position for the world power. And America is willing to listen that they have a second competitor in their competition. They don't want Russia and China to be a second in the row. America want to keep his superiority, his power, and he wants to be a superpower on the planet. So this is the war happened. There was no reason that Russia or Ukraine can fight. You can compare the Russia and Ukraine army. They do not have any comparison. They do not have any reason to fight. But US want them to fight to Russia. So the way America used Afghanistan to destroy the Soviet Union. So this is a war for a power. If you look at how much money West in Ukraine war, and who are the main benefiter? The main benefiter is the USA. They sell more than 780 billion worth of weapons to Ukraine in just last year and a half. But these weapons, which sold by the USA and United Nations, and United Kingdom and other European countries, and the Ukraine will pay them in next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, might be 100 years. So they are making a customer. They are not people who believe on humanity, people who run these countries. They don't believe on humanity. They believe that they want money for their community, for their country. This is a war for money.
All right, Rana, let's even look at your organization as it stands right now. Have you been able to engage in regional governments so far in protection of human rights? Let's use probably ASEAN and that of the African Union and other regional governments. Has the human rights movement been able to engage them in the fight, in the protection of human rights globally?
Country with more than 100 years. That only possible that
All right, so we're trying to get talk to Ross at that point to let us know how the human rights movement
before one is made a Chief Justice of the Federation, the appointment has to be sanctioned by the National Judicial Council. And for that to be done, the person has to be deemed to be qualified to occupy that position. For instance, there is a particular number of years, because in as much as it is conventional for the Chief Justice of the Federation to be appointed from the 7 Justices of the Supreme Court, there is no law that also prohibits the president from even going outside the confines of the Justice of the Supreme Court to appoint a practicing lawyer. For instance, a practicing lawyer who has practiced law for at least up to 10 years in the country is also qualified to be a judge, in which case the president can go outside, you know, the shores of the already existing Justice of the Supreme Court to appoint. So if, for instance, the person you are trying to put forward is not qualified constitutionally to occupy that particular position, then that would be a ground upon which the Senate will say no, that you have forwarded this person's name for us to give our stamp of approval, but we will not do that. Secondly, prima facie, the candidate may be qualified, but there may be an allegation, a very fundamental allegation against that person. Let's say allegation bordering on corruption. If prima facie the allegation is weighty, then the Senate may say that based on public policy, that if you have the right to, you know, to put forward the name or names of candidates, as the case may be, who you want to occupy this particular position, that this particular individual whose name you have forwarded to us, that there are fundamental challenges that has bedeviled his candidacy based on such and so reports, let's say security reports, if there is a very, not just flimsy, if there is a very cogent security report against the person sought to be made the Chief Justice of the Federation, based on that security report, the Senate can say, based on national interest, that we will not be given our approval, in as much as the president is given that powers to appoint whoever he wants to, subject to the fact that that appointment must be done in line with the Constitution. So it's not an open-ended power. And that's why the National Judicial Council is there to ensure that whoever may be put forward to occupy that position should be someone who is constitutionally qualified to occupy that position.
Over the years, the Nigerian judiciary has ruled in favor of citizens anytime their right to peaceful assembly was threatened or abridged. The courts have interpreted this right to peaceful assembly to include peaceful protests. As a matter of fact, the Nigerian Constitution, the United Nations declarations, and other regional, continental, and world charters recognize protests as undeniable rights of citizens under a democracy. It can be said, therefore, that democracy is abridged when right to protest is denied. But why is the right to protest a right under a democracy?
Not that court always give citizen right. The right is fundamental. The right is alienate. It is when that right is about to be taken, that's when the court will come in. The right is so germane, is so fundamental for the fact that it is enshrined in the Constitution. That's why you see that chapter 4 of our Constitution is dedicated on such set of rights.
As much as the right to protest is needful under a democracy, that right could also undermine its own essence if it can be procured, induced, or manipulated. Protests draw the attention of the government to an issue, a situation, or a policy which the protesters consider inimical to their guaranteed interest or well-being. In other words, protest must emanate from an experience or a conviction that the issue being protested against threatens the interest or well-being of the protesters, including the national interest. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, protests are now for sale. Many people who join protests against a government policy, an offensive national or a political situation, or even court judgments hardly know what they are protesting against. The same is applicable to rallies in support of government actions or policies. All the organizers of a rally in support of...
Is that, what do you call that? That one alone is another form of criminality that the police should rise up to and deal with immediately.
Okay. In many instances, violence breaks out at the end of the protest or rally when the rented crowd is not paid the money for procuring them.
They are those people that police should go after. If you are associating with people you don't know the kind of association, then what do you call that? Well, any agitation should be genuine. It should come out of passion. It should not be reduced to commercial purpose. It should not be reduced to we should not turn to merchant and mercantile issue that you should pay naira and kobo. It should not.
The tendency to monetize a cause, to rent support, and reduce protests and rallies to commodities that can be bought or sold renders those instruments for advancing our democracy a mere deception.
If you procure supporters to do something which is non-criminal, I don't see any reason. You have your money to waste, you have money to make them. But in a situation that you call crowd to come and burn a house, you call them to take to street and to be violent, of course, both whosoever that procured such supporter and those that help, all of them is a serious case of conspiracy.
That, of course, weakens their usefulness in guiding those in position of power to address or redress situations which citizens consider unprogressive. It also creates an escape route for a non-performing government, since such a government can easily discredit even genuine protests because, after all, protesters have become trade items, lacking in conviction and shun of honor. Such a situation undermines our democracy.
Before one is made a Chief Justice of the Federation, the appointment has to be sanctioned by the National Judicial Council And for that to be done, the person has to be deemed to be qualified to occupy that position. For instance, there is a particular number of years because in as much as it is conventional for the Chief Justice of the Federation to be appointed from the serving Justice of the Supreme Court, there is no law that also prohibits the president from even going outside the confines of the Justice of the Supreme Court to appoint a practicing lawyer. For instance, a practicing lawyer who has practiced law for at least up to 10 years in the country is also qualified to be a judge, in which case the president can go outside, the shores of the already existing Justice of the Supreme Court to appoint. So if, for instance, the person you are trying to put forward is not qualified constitutionally to occupy that particular position, then that would be a ground upon which there has bedeviled his candidacy based on so and so reports. Let's say security reports. If there is a very, not just flimsy, there is a very cogent security report against the person sought to be made the Chief Justice of the Federation, based on that security report, the Senate can say, based on national interest, that we will not be given our approval, in as much as the president is given that powers to appoint whoever he wants to, subject to the fact that that appointment must be done in line with the Constitution. So it's not an open-ended power. And that's why the National Judicial Council is there to ensure that whoever may be put forward to occupy that position should be someone who is constitutionally qualified to occupy that position.
Over the years, the Nigerian judiciary has ruled in favor of citizens anytime their right to peaceful assembly was threatened or abridged. The courts have interpreted this right to peaceful assembly to include peaceful protests. As a matter of fact, the Nigerian Constitution, the United Nations declarations, and other regional, continental, and world charters recognize protest as undeniable rights of citizens under a democracy. It can be said, therefore, that democracy is abridged when right to protest is denied. But why is the right to protest a right under a democracy?
Not that court always give citizen right. The right is fundamental. The right is alienate. It is when that right is about to be taken, that's when the court will come in. The right is so germane, is so fundamental for the fact that
Unfortunately, in Nigeria, protests are now for sale. Many people who join protests against a government policy and offensive